They smiled for the camera, then slaughtered their own blood. From suburban homes to country cabins, some families didn't just share DNA. They shared a kill list, brothers, wives, even 12-year-olds. They didn't snap, they planned. What makes someone murder their own blood? These aren't strangers. These are sons, daughters, lovers, and killers. Watch the full story, Blood Ties, on our channel. Subscribe for real cases that chill to the bone. They were the picture of a perfect family, until blood was spilled. These are the families that didn't just protect each other, they killed together. When we think of family, we think of love, loyalty, safety. But what happens when those bonds twist into something darker? Behind closed doors, some families harbor secrets so deep they rot from the inside out, and sometimes those secrets end in murder. These aren't your average killers. These are siblings, spouses, children, people who shared bedrooms, birthdays, and blood. Driven by greed, revenge, jealousy, or madness, they didn't just witness the crime, they planned it together. From Beverly Hills to rural France, these families became headlines for all the wrong reasons. You're about to step into the darkest corners of domestic life, where dinner tables become crime scenes and family photos turn into evidence. This is the chilling, true story of families who kill together and the twisted ties that bind them. August 20th, 1989. Beverly Hills police receive a frantic call.
Emergency?
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Jose and Kitty Menendez, wealthy, well-connected, and seemingly devoted parents, were found brutally gunned down in their living room, shot execution style with a 12-gauge shotgun. No signs of forced entry. No suspects. But behind the grief, something didn't add up. Their sons, Lyle and Eric, young, athletic, heirs to a multi-million-dollar estate, were soon seen driving luxury cars, buying Rolex watches, and going on shopping sprees. Less than a month after the murders, the brothers confessed they had killed their parents. But it wasn't cold-blooded greed they claimed. It was decades of sexual abuse, mental control, and psychological torment. They said their father, Jose, a powerful Hollywood executive, had manipulated and molested them since childhood. Their mother, Kitty, they alleged, had turned a blind eye. The defense painted the brothers not as killers, but as broken victims who finally snapped. Prosecutors called it premeditated murder, a scheme to inherit millions. What followed was one of the most sensational trials ever aired. Aired on live television, debated in households, and dissected by the media. 2 mistrials, 2 life sentences, no parole. To this day, the Menendez brothers divide public opinion. Are they calculating killers or deeply damaged survivors who saw no other way out? One thing is certain. Behind the mansion walls, the family that seemed perfect was anything but. Sugarland, Texas, a quiet, upper-middle-class suburb where crime is rare and family life looks picture-perfect from the outside. December 10th, 2003, the Whitaker family, Kent, Tricia, and their 2 sons had just returned from a celebratory dinner. Their oldest, 23-year-old Bart, was graduating from Sam Houston State University. Laughter, smiles, the perfect family night, until the front door opened and gunfire tore the evening apart. Tricia Whitaker, the mother, was shot and killed instantly. Her youngest son, Kevin, a promising 19-year-old, was also murdered. The father, Kent, was shot in the chest but survived. The only one unharmed? Bart. The story seemed to fit. A tragic home invasion, a random act of violence. But as investigators dug deeper, the perfect narrative began to crack. For months, the case went cold. Then came a tip from someone close to Bart. Police uncovered the shocking truth. Bart Whitaker had faked his graduation. He'd never completed college. The dinner celebration, a setup to lure his family home, and the shooting, it was a hit, arranged by Bart, carried out by his friends. He promised them money once he inherited his parents' life savings and insurance. It was a plot of lies, betrayal, and cold calculation, all orchestrated by a son, targeting the people who loved him most. In court, Bart showed no emotion. His father, Kent, still recovering from his wounds, did something no one expected. He forgave him. He begged the state not to execute the man who had once been his little boy. Bart was sentenced to death, but in 2018, hours before his scheduled execution, the governor commuted his sentence to life without parole. Because of his father's plea, Bart Whitaker had everything: a loving family, a future, but his lies led to the destruction of all of it. A son who faked his life, then tried to end everyone else's. Some crimes are about hatred, others are about money. This one was about ego and the cost of deception. Chris Coleman was a man of faith, a family man, a protector, and he worked in security for a church. His job? Protecting none other than Joyce Meyer, one of the most famous televangelists in the world. But in May of 2009, Coleman would be unmasked, not as a guardian, but as a cold-blooded killer. Chris lived in Columbia, Illinois with his wife Sherry and their two sons, Gavin, 9, and Garrett, 11. To neighbors, they looked like the perfect Christian family, but beneath that spotless surface, Chris was spiraling. He was having an affair with a woman named Tara, a family friend. The two exchanged thousands of messages and promises. He told Tara he'd leave his wife by May 4th. That day came and went, but Chris had another plan. Months before the murders, Chris began sending threatening, profanity-laced emails to his own work email. The messages warned that his family was in danger because of his job with the church. They demanded he quit. They threatened violence against his wife and kids. Chris reported the threats to police. Security was tightened. The family was terrified. But detectives noticed something strange. The emails were being sent from his own laptop, in his own home, and all while he was supposedly asleep. On the morning of May 5, 2009, police conducted a welfare check after Chris claimed his wife wasn't answering texts. They entered the house and walked into a nightmare. Sherry Coleman was found strangled in her bed. In the next room, 11-year-old Garrett was dead, so was 9-year-old Gavin. All strangled, all staged to look like a message from a deranged outsider, spray-painted on the walls. Red threat, you have paid. Punished. It looked like a hate crime, but it wasn't. Within days, Chris was arrested. The motive? Image. Reputation. He didn't want to be seen as a divorced man, not in the evangelical world, not in the public eye, so instead, he erased his family, his wife of 12 years, and 2 innocent boys, just to protect his persona and start a new life with his mistress. Text messages, phone records, surveillance, it all led back to him. The jury took less than 24 hours. Chris Coleman was found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. He's serving life without parole. Coleman didn't kill in a moment of passion. He planned it for months. He used his job, his church, even fake threats, all to create the illusion of danger that would justify what he had already decided to do. It wasn't about money. It wasn't even about love. It was about control, appearances, power. He lived a double life, and when the truth threatened to expose him, he chose to kill the very people who trusted him, a man who protected a preacher and executed his own family to protect himself. France, 1933, in the old provincial town of Le Mans. A cold, rainy night. A prominent woman and her daughter are found brutally murdered in their home, faces unrecognizable, beaten beyond comprehension. Their attackers weren't burglars, not jealous ex-lovers, not strangers. They were the housemaids, sisters, Christine and Le Papin. Christine was 28, Leah was 21. Quiet, polite, obedient, by all appearances the perfect domestic staff for the Lancelin family, but what simmered beneath the surface was anything but ordinary. On February 2nd, Madame Léonie Lancelin and her daughter Geneviève returned home to darkness, a blown fuse. Within minutes, they were ambushed. Christine gouged out eyes with her bare hands. Leah beat them with a pewter pitcher. They used a kitchen knife, a hammer, and no hesitation. When the carnage was over, they went upstairs, took off their bloodied clothes, locked the bedroom door, and laid down in bed together. They didn't run. They didn't deny it. Police found them hours later, curled up like children, still soaked in blood. The murders shocked France, but what followed was stranger still. Christine and Leah claimed they were abused, overworked, treated like animals by Madame Lancelin. But investigators and psychiatrists began to see something deeper, something darker. The sisters were intensely codependent, emotionally fused. Some believed they shared a psychosis. Others suspected incest. Their relationship blurred every line of identity, of reality, of sanity. Christine was sentenced to life in prison. Leah received 10 years. She served 8. Christine later died in a psychiatric hospital, refusing to eat. Leah vanished. Some say she lived quietly as a hotel maid under a new name. The Papin sisters became a symbol, not just of violence, but of madness, repression, and psychological collapse. Their case inspired plays, films, and books. But the question lingers, were they victims, or monsters created by isolation, servitude, and trauma? One thing is certain. When the Papin sisters broke, they broke completely. Sydney, Australia, July 10, 2001. A wealthy, tight-knit Filipino-Australian family is found slaughtered inside their home. Teddy and Loiva Gonzalez, respected professionals. Their daughter, Claudine, a gifted student, all brutally murdered in a frenzied knife and baseball bat attack. The only surviving family member, 20-year-old Seth Gonzalez, the son. To outsiders, the Gonzalez family was living the immigrant dream, a beautiful home, academic excellence, faith, status. But behind closed doors, Seth felt crushed by the pressure to succeed. He had failed subjects in law school, lied about his grades, hid the truth from his strict, status-driven parents. When they found out, they threatened to disown him, cut him off financially. He would lose everything. So he made a decision. If he couldn't live the life he wanted, no one else would either. On that July evening, while his sister was away, Seth disabled the alarm system and waited. He attacked his sister first when she returned, stabbing her over 60 times. Then he waited again. His mother arrived next. He ambushed her, then finally his father. It was methodical, controlled, but savage. After the murders, Seth did what he thought he had to do. He played the grieving son. He made emotional TV appearances, pleaded for the public's help to catch the real killer. He even sang at their funerals, but detectives found cracks in the performance. The racial graffiti? Seth's own writing, in his handwriting. DNA evidence, internet searches, a fake alibi. In 2004, he was convicted of all 3 murders. His motive? Anger, control, and a desire for a multi-million-dollar inheritance. The Gonzalez case shook Australia. A young man so obsessed with maintaining the illusion of success that he annihilated the very people who gave him everything. He murdered not out of hatred, but out of image, entitlement, and fear of failure. He wanted the money, but more than that, he wanted to erase the shame of disappointing his family, even if it meant destroying it. Across decades and continents, one thread ties these stories together. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a masked killer. It wasn't the boogeyman in the dark. It was family. The people we're told to trust the most are sometimes the ones who destroy us. A father suffocating his children to preserve his image. A daughter helping slaughter her own bloodline. A family running a death trap disguised as a home. What does it take to kill someone you love? Is it greed, control, fear of losing face? Or was the love never real to begin with? That's what makes these stories stick with us. They make us question everything, not just what people are capable of, but how well we really know the people we live with. My name is Shay. Thank you for watching my video. Please take a moment to subscribe. Much love.